What's up, guys? Welcome to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Palantir stock, ticker symbol PLTR, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day. Wednesday, April 3rd. Okay, guys, Palantir stock here today on Tuesday, down 14 cents a share. That's minus 0.61%. Let's take a look at this name and try to pull out as much bias as the market could possibly give us here today to read a little bit more into this name than what the price action is obviously showing here. There's a lot more depth that we can find. And stick around to the end, we'll go over expected move and the options bias, the directional bias. Now, let's get started here. We're trying to pull out as much bias out of the volume profile here on the 5-minute as we possibly can. Now, listen, I obviously cover Palantir stock a ton, but I know that a lot of you guys are interested in quite a few different names. Give me a suggestion down in the comment section of a stock you'd like to see me cover. That feedback helps out tremendously. Now, let's take a look here. Now, today's kind of a bizarre trading day on Palantir because we got that fade in pre-market, and then we just had a slow grind higher all day. We hit the intraday low immediately off the open. And when we go all the way to the close, the peak, it was a nearly 5% move intraday. However, of course, that pre-market fade, we basically faded all of pre-market. All we did was make up for that, but I think people are not realizing that we had a strong intraday session after recovering from that pre-market. So here's what I'm going to do. Since there's not like really obvious pumps and dumps, what I'm going to look at is just I'm not going to circle any moves on Palantir. I just want to look at the entirety of the profile and see if we can pull anything out. Now, the first things that stand out to me, listen, there's nothing after about 11:30 Eastern time. This chart is, of course, Central time. That stands out as not being contextual. It's all very normal after that time. Before that, we had, this region here. We started to see a little bit of increasing volume to the bullish side. Listen, if we compare that open, yeah, we saw a bigger open candle. To me, that makes sense after that pre-market dump. Some traders, believe it or not, on some brokers, still aren't able to trade pre-market, or a lot of people aren't comfortable trading pre-market, which is understandable due to the larger spreads in pre-market. So that opening bar is very explainable for me, given the pre-market movement, and then the rest of the day is just very contextual, okay? Which I think is interesting. It's not like we saw such outsized volume in the pre-market, which contributed to that fade either. It was actually just slightly above average pre-market volume during that fade, which is quite normal and expected. So while some, I think, bears may have expected some obvious bias, it's not really there. So let's take a look at the self-fulfilling prophecy psychological levels that I'm paying close attention to here as a trader and an investor. Palantir is a company that I'm very fond of here on the 30-minute chart. So something important happened today here on the 30-minute chart. Can you tell me what it is? See that white line, that 50-period moving average? We barely reclaimed it within that last 30-minute bar into the close. Now, listen, did we reclaim it? Yes. But you guys have heard me say a million times, if we reclaim that in the last couple of minutes, if we look at like the 5-minute, it'll really tell us it was late in the day, right? If we reclaim that level in the last few minutes of the day, to me, that's barely a day one reclaim. Okay, we really haven't had a lot of time or volume come in above that level yet. So bulls, come Wednesday, tomorrow, any retest of this 50 period on the 30-minute, I want to see, boom, a hard high volume bounce away from that level. On top of that, I'd like to see this 50 period flatten out and curl back upside with the stock, which is entirely possible in one day with the 50 period on the 30-minute. It's a quick moving average. Bears, you guys really haven't lost this battle yet because it just barely reclaimed. So you bears are going to want to see a fade back beneath that level, dragging this 50 period down back into a descending position and doing so on as much volume as humanly possible and algorithmically possible, I suppose. Let's move on now to the 4-hour chart and take a look. The 4-hour, you can see, we're probably not going to spend a lot of time here just because these moving averages are pretty far away. They're both just above 24 bucks. Now, they're far away on a day-to-day perspective. They're about 6% away, 5.9% away. We've seen crazier things out of Palantir. Okay, so just be aware, you know, I'm not worried about this crossover. I think the whole golden cross, death cross thing is overhyped. All I care about is staying beneath if I'm a bear or getting above if I'm a bull. Just to, I think, calm down the psychology of my peers for however I'm positioned. Okay, but understand, bulls, you know, that's about a 5.9% move away as of right now. So let's move on to the real important day-to-day story currently, which is on the daily. Okay, the daily has two really big stories happening right now. We are currently about 1% away from that $23 area, which is the bottom of that channel between 23 and 25.50. You can see it's a very obvious channel that we've had for the last couple of months, really. And we just barely gave that up on Monday, but today we're just barely lower. We tested deeper beneath that region and kind of rejected after, you know, reclaiming ground all day long on that clean move back upside. In addition to that, that white line, guys, that's the 50-day moving average. That is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, indicators being watched on Palantir on the most popular time frame, which is the daily, the self-fulfilling prophecy mentality. Okay, Palantir didn't want to give that up today. It reclaimed it. We bounced off of that level on Monday, reclaimed that just barely here today on Tuesday. Bears. Two things. Reject 23 on any test at all, and hold beneath the 50-day on as much volume as possible. Bulls. Two things. Really three things. Stay above the 50-day. Ideally, break and hold back above 23, again, on as much volume as possible. But number three, it would be a beautiful thing to see that 50-day get ripped up above $23 a share, just to help beef up that level, of course, with the stock above it. Okay, in my experience, that doesn't necessarily like double the strength of a psychological level, but it tends to add, if I had to make a rough estimate, something like 50% to the strength of a level. Now, the expected move here on Palantir. The next expiration that we have is Friday at the close, April 5th. And the expected volatility by that close is plus or minus about 89 cents per share. We have no earnings in between now and then. So if we divide that by 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the market is expecting somewhere around plus or minus 30 cents of movement per day. But again, that's assuming a 3-day green streak or a 3-day red streak. So what I like to do is add about 50% to that, which gives us, you know, 44 or 45 cents plus or minus per day in volatility expectations. So knowing the volatility expectation, especially if you're trading options, that goes hand in hand with your directional bias. Okay. And we can add one more thing to that potential directional bias. Let's take a look at the options bias out of the chain here today, Tuesday. We had 298,000 total contracts traded today, and there is a call side bias. 188,000 calls traded here today. You can see that right there. And 110,000 puts. Okay. Now, if we break this down by time frame, what I'm really interested in is that short-term speculator category of the 0 to 20 delta range. 90,000 calls, 34,500 puts. Okay, we're seeing a pretty heavy call side bias out of the short-term bettors, right? The short-term speculators, as well as that overall ratio, which is pretty normal actually for Palantir, especially as of late. Listen, guys, if you got value out of this video, come hang out in our 100% free Discord. It's free. You can join instantly. If you're on YouTube, just click the link in the pinned comment. It'll add you immediately. If you're on Instagram or TikTok, same deal. Just click the link in the bio. Click on the profile and then click the link in the bio, and that'll add you to the free Discord right away for absolutely free. Come hang out. It's kind of a brand new server that I'm kind of building out, so we need some pioneers, so I appreciate you joining up. We're talking trading, talking stocks that are moving all day. Leave a like on the way out, guys. Helps out tremendously. You have no idea. And I'll see you in the next one.